Thank you for your patience. Let us begin the Plenary Session 3. This session was participated by representative RCE youth members of each country. They were involved in everything from the design and planning to the operation of the session, which makes it a special session. So let's get started. Let me introduce moderator, Mr. Maximilian Eisenbart. The floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome. These are big shoes to fill right after an inspiring session as we just had. But I also want to thank you for your leadership, Your Royal Highness, and also what you mentioned, the space that we need to give young people. So I also want to thank everyone, the organizers, the city of Okayama, RCE Okayama, the Ministry of the Environment of Japan, and especially also a very warm welcome to the team of UNU-IAS, who have been very, very supportive of all of us youth over the past years. So the gratitude for that is very big, and we're very honored to stand here. We've talked about youth already a lot this conference this morning, especially yesterday. And I'm very honored also to be here with a lot of other great young people to also take that space and also share our perspective. And maybe to briefly start with a personal story, because actually my career has been going on for 5 years about now, and it's been from the start deeply entwined with the RCE network. It started about 5 years ago when RCE Friesland actually decided to apply as an RCE. I was a student at the time, and my colleague Helentje Swart approached some youth groups, of which I was a member, to design this application together. And I think that was really key. And I said, that seems like a very nice challenge for me. And sort of since then I've grown, and 5 years later we're here, and I think that really also shows the importance of youth participation, but it also shows really what is necessary. And I think we've talked about the 4 levels of youth participation, really with youth being in the lead. But I think today we might also like to propose maybe a 5th level to that, because I strongly believe youth have a place, we have something to contribute, but also we lack something that a lot of you do have, which is experience. And we still need to learn, we need space to make mistakes so we can learn. And for that, what I think is really important is that we not only put youth in the lead, but that we collaborate with the generations that came before us, that as equal parties with different strengths, we use our perspective as young people and combine that with the experience of those that came before us. And today we want to show you some examples of examples where this worked very well. I think we have very inspiring speakers, and I think what binds us is that we're young people that had older generations that gave us space, that gave us trust, and we've taken that space and we've used it. And through that intergenerational collaboration, we've done great projects. So we would like to showcase some of those today. And then at the end of the session, we also will have a brief Q&A among us, but also hopefully with some space for youth introduction. So yeah, my name is Maximilian Eisenbart. I'm the former regional youth coordinator for Europe. I'm currently program manager at RCE Friesland, and I'm honored to be your moderator for today. As said, we want to demonstrate some youth-led case studies that all use problem-based approaches to ESD. We want to hopefully also at the end have some actionable recommendations on how we can also scale this youth leadership. And we want to inspire also all of you to actively work towards this intergenerational collaboration. But I think the main goal of the session is to bridge our generations and to go forward together. So I'm not doing that by myself. We have an amazing team, both here in person, but also online. We have the current acting regional youth coordinators, Alyson, MacKay, Janu, Ahmad, and Hector Esparra-Escalera are joining us from online. They can hear you. Maybe you can briefly switch over to also see them. We are young people after all, so we're tech savvy, so we had to do it also in a hybrid way. There they are. Welcome. It's great to see you even in this way today. And then also, of course, here in the room, we have Ali Mohammed, also Ahmad, Ali, Karim, sorry, Ali, Regional Youth Coordinator for Asia Pacific. We have actually also very honored that you're with us, the Youth Coordinator for RC Okayama with us, Mitsumi Ohara. We have Evance, Ouya, Regional Youth Coordinator for Europe. Very happy that you're still here after already serving a term together with me since 2023. And we have Woojin Lee, Regional Youth Coordinator also for Asia Pacific from RC Seoyoung. And lastly, also from the UNU-IAS team, Seoyoung, and also Kozue, thank you for your support, and you'll also be joining us on stage. And Fayola Waith, Regional Youth Coordinator for the Americas, I think is also following us online today. So with that, I hope we can inspire you, but also we want to make it a little bit interactive. So for that, I give over to Seoyoung. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Seoyoung from UNU-IAS. The people who participate in today's youth plenary sessions, we work intergenerationally through the numerous projects. From interns to teams leaders, everyone has worked hard for the success of its projects. Among the way, we've encountered various challenges, maybe some externals or some internals. So for youth, sometimes they maybe feel hesitant or passive in sharing their thoughts, wondering whether our opinions will truly be heard or reflected in our projects, or if their contribution might be seen through the lens of the age. As more youth engagement projects are being developed, we have been more opportunities to work together with youth. But today, beyond the simply by working together, I want to focus on building deeper understanding between generations to recognize the gaps that exist and find the ways to bridge all together. So today, I'd like to ask some questions to both of youth and non-youth to compare our thoughts. What are the important elements if we aim to strengthen intergenerational collaborations? So, I'd like to ask the same question to both. And I'm following the I'm following the definition of RCE youth, over 30, over 35. Sorry, non-youth. Please respond to the QR code left side, and then under 35. Please respond to your answers on the right side of our presentation. I will give you a brief 30 seconds, and I'm waiting for your response. Okay. While we are waiting, I want to ask some questions to Max, and also Max. Sorry. Do you think the youth and non-youth response will be the same?
I think maybe not fully the same. As I said, I think there's some differences, but I expect also from what we've heard today. I think also a lot what we've heard from older generations, so to say, very much rung true, at least for me. So I accept there to be definitely some similarities, but maybe with some different focus points among the generations.
Okay, so you added beautiful words, but actually you're saying no, right? The response will be different.
Yeah, no, there's definitely there will be some differences, but I think there will also be some overlap.
Be some overlaps. Okay. So, okay, that's a good guess, I think. And also, I think 30 seconds has been already over. Are you all ready to check our response? Okay. The technical team, can you please show our mentee response? Ooh, okay. I can see it right now. In non-youth section, spending time together, empathy, trust, respect, understanding. I think trust and empathy, spending the time together is taking a highest portion, right? So I think trust and empathy is like word is different, but like what they are saying and the core meaning are same. So I think it implies that we need not to persuade one another, but to understand and emphasize each generations has grown up in different experiences and value. So I think this result shows that trying to see the world through the eyes of another generations at the heart of genuine collaborations. Okay, okay. While I'm talking, we received more responses actually. Understanding, listen, respect, spending time together. Please keep in these words in your mind. And I want to move to our youth response. I'm so curious that we're having the same thoughts, actually. Okay. Ooh, trust. I think our generations, even though our generation is different, we are saying the same thing. So youth and non-youth have the same responses, even though we come from different generations. And I think it's really impressive that we share the same values. So I believe that that a strong foundation of understanding and trust is already exists between us. And then this shared mindsets is what gives us the strength to move forward together. So today, as the RYCs and youth shared our experiences and stories, and I hope all of us can take a moment to step back and think, like all of us have a first time, right? So I want to ask you to keep in mind as what was it when I was a youth? How was my first time was? I hope everyone will listen to their stories with the heart of youth again and reflect on today's theme. So I want to hand over my mic to Woojin Lee from RC Tongyang, and okay, thank you everyone.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. Okay. I'm Woojin Lee from RC Tongyang Sejatura Forest. I work as a program designer and team of the education sector in RC Tongyang Sejatura Forest and as a regional youth coordinator in Asia Pacific region. So it's truly honored to be here today, here in the 14th Global RC Conference. So today I'd like to share one story from Tongyang under the title of How Can Youth Transform Tongyang with SDGs, Transforming Tongyang Through Youth Question, with the program named Bridge to the World. Okay. Can I? Okay. So firstly, I want to talk about the challenge identified. In Tongyang, our challenge was not only about the visible issue like population decline or climate change or marine pollution. It was about seeing the invisible things, the way young people look at the city, their question and their hopes for change. So Bridge to the World began as a space where those invisible questions could lead to the real action. So the program goes through these 4 main steps: input, process, and output, and feedback. So this is based on the problem-based learning method. So input is about the awareness and local question, and then they learn and work together, and sometimes with other RC. So process is about the collaboration and cross-RC learning. And then output is about the youth-led action and the reflection. So they take action and do reflection, and finally they come back to share their work. and listen to others' story and think about how to improve next time. And this is educational design for the bridge to the world. So over the 17 years, more than 1,000 youths have joined, creating nearby the 100 projects and visiting 45 RC cities to learn and exchange ideas. And this is the impact summary of the 17 years. So let me share two short examples from youth project. The first team asked, how might we keep our local tradition alive in our schools? When they visited RC Yogyakarta, they learned from students wearing batik, a traditional fabric symbolizing local identity. So inspired by that, they rediscovered Tongyang's own nubi. Nubi is a traditional hand-stitch quilting method technique. So, and they create the small nubi name tag like that picture to express their hometown identity in their school uniform. Yeah. And the second team asked, why do students leave so much food on vegetarian lunch day? So they found actually it wasn't about the taste. It is not a fault of the vegetables. So it's just because about the understanding. So they began empty campaign educational way in their schools, and later they visited RC Munich to learn how diet connects with the sustainability. So over the years, Bridge to the World has created many visible results, like the practice I said, and with the flows like in this slide. Behind those projects, something deeper has actually happened. Okay, deeper has happened. The invisible change within the learners themselves. So to understand this, we collected both story and data. So before and after the program, we measured the 6 era of growth. So as you see in the slide, all the 6 shows clear improvement like that. So actually, this invisible change doesn't stay just in the data. They continue in the lives in each participant, actually including mine. So I was one of the participants actually. So please see the picture, first picture. Look at the girl in the circle. It's me when I was a high school student. Yeah, so I joined Bridge to the World in 2013 as a student. The experience changed how I saw my city and eventually how I live. So now I design the same program that once changed me. And my colleague often say to me, "You are living Bridge to the World." And I agree with this. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, and I really agree with this. And then it actually shifted my perspective from someone should change this, and I can take action. Yeah, so I think this is what agency and the transformative learning are really about. So today, I live with the same agency from my student days and meeting the next generation who are discovering their own agency too. So this is how can youth in Tongyang transform the city through the SDGs again and again, and with their agency and under the transformative learning. So yes, it's been my pleasure to share this story with you today. And if you have a question, please find me in the poster session after lunch. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with you today. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Woojin. I think it really shows, I think we could all see that. I was privileged to see it also in the past days, how much you also live and love this program. And I think it's a really nice example of how youth-led actions during an educational experience during school can also really build young people up and make sure that they can develop these programs even further in a leading role like you're doing. So thank you very much for sharing that. And then moving on, thank you for our technical team already having moved online. We move over to Janu Mohammed. Thank you very much. One of the youth coordinators for Asia Pacific as well, and founder of, and I'm currently missing my notes here on the screen, so that's a bit sad, but I think we're getting the slides up actually for Janu right at this moment. He is a community manager from the RYCs of the Asia Pacific and founder of Sarir Suleiman, a social enterprise focusing on empowering youth through climate-smart agriculture. So please, Janu, we would love to hear from you.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Greetings from Jakarta, Indonesia. And this is Janu Muhammad. I'm the community manager at RYC Asia Pacific and founder of Sarir Suleiman. Thank you for this opportunity. Today, I would like to share our experience in developing young people through Tandurasa, a case study from Indonesia. As we know that climate change is real and it is impacted on agriculture as well. I am a farmer and I empower young farmers, women of farmers and group of farmers in Indonesia, in Jakarta. And we are facing on climate change, including land conversion as well. And the most important thing is lack of skills for young people and motivation as well to be a farmer. I'm not graduate from farming major or agriculture major, but basically I'm from geographer. After completing study from UK, and then I go back to Indonesia and try to do something in my community. So we initiate Sarir Suleiman as a social enterprise and trying to provide climate-smart agriculture model as a solution to strengthen the food security in our area. Started from this very small rural area or village. We tried to empower more than 25 young people in one area. And this project is replicated to the eastern part of Indonesia in NTT. So we try to adapt to climate change by providing drip irrigation and then make the water more efficient and changing from conventional method to more modern method with the simple way and try to empowering the millennial farmers, women farmers, and group of farmers to implement this climate smart agriculture. So if you can see, this is a view of our farm in Margorojo village, Sleman Regency, special region of Jakarta, Indonesia. In this 1 hectare area, we combine from horticulture and then fisheries, and including the hydroponic as the modern method of farming. We believe that integrated farming is one of the solution combining with climate smart agriculture to resolving the problem of this climate change. What we have done so far is on-farm activities, including plantations. We plant the vegetable and then fruits, especially melon. So I believe that all of you love melon, and inspired by the Japanese history, we try to plant the melon with hydroponic method inside the greenhouse, and then make it not only as an agriculture field, but also education and also tourism place to learn and to feel, to relax together here. And the second one, we also educate young farmers through training, because we believe that young people can empower and lead young people as well. From young people, we try to expand our impact, not only in economics, but also environmental and also social impact. So that's why many of visitors come to this place to learn and then to adapt this method to be implemented in their area. We are so happy and grateful that this initiative has empowered more than 50 farmers in one small area, and it is visited by more than 800 youth, including training participants offline and online more than 60,000. So after assessing this project, we got the SROI number or SROI value, social return of investment on 4.7. Because I come from RCE Yogyakarta, Indonesia, we try to spread this kindness and spirit through the stories for young people in Yogyakarta, to motivate them as well through coaching and then mentoring with RCE Yogyakarta. It's under Gajah Mada University in Indonesia. So they learn and they made like a very basic of sustainable business model canvas as well in agriculture. And two of the participants from Youth Collab Bootcamp as well won the national competitions, and we are so happy having them. And this is some of our milestone. We also present this capstone project as one of the best capstone project in SDG Academy Indonesia. We also presented this model in SDGs conference. It's organized by Ministry of National Planning and then collaborate with UNDP Indonesia and Tanoto Foundations. And this year we were grateful because this model has also won the Project Action Accelerator Pitch competitions. It's organized by One Young World from UK, and I was invited to go to German the 1st of November to present this idea. So we believe that we can collaborate each other, and then including young people and then elderly people as well, because we can start from small thing to create big impact. Thank you. Feel free to connect and collaborate with us. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Janu. I think the amount of awards you mentioned are more than deserved, and I think it really shows. I think you mentioned empowerment, which I think is really a key word here of farmers, but especially also of young people, giving them that space to grow. So that's very inspiring. Thanks a lot. And then we move to our next presenter, my dear friend Evance. Evance, the floor is yours. I don't think you need an introduction.
Thank you so much. To our participants online and physically present, thank you. And to my company of very experienced panelists, thank you so much and thank you for having me. My name is Evance Ouya from RCE South Rift. I come from Kenya. For now, I'm serving as the RYC for Africa. This is my presentation, and my area is wildlife management. I've been trying to take advantage of that and ensure that I help my community in my small capacity. When I joined RCE as a student, there were far-reaching and far-pressing problems in Masai Mara University. And as I graduated that year, I wrote my first proposal and we developed a tree nursery, courtesy of RCE, although I was a member, but I got funding from elsewhere. We established the nursery. As we speak today, Masai Mara University is recognized as a center of excellence in Kenya, and the government is also trying to put some funding in that. That was the brainchild of whatever we were doing. So I want to talk about habitat repair that I translate from my field, that is in mammal diversity science, and we try to do something about the same. So climate change is real and it affects lives and livelihoods. In the process, species are affected. So in my country and my county where I come from, specifically in Masai Mara, the university and the area benefits so much from natural resources. And when climate change happens, it affects lives and livelihoods because we depend on wildlife, we depend on farming, and we also depend on natural resources. So these are forests, as you can see, that is found in my area, but you can see the level of destruction, and that is what causes climate change. So because where I come from, there are nomadic pastoralists. When far-reaching effects like drought come in, then in the process, livelihoods are affected, including farmers and including species. You can see in the picture in the middle, that is on the far left, the forest is thick, but then you can now see how gully erosion happens because of unsustainable agriculture, and you can see that is unsustainable grazing. And so we conducted a research in that area of the forest. We laid camera traps, as you can see on the bottom right. We laid camera traps in the forest in 3 treatments. We wanted to know what happens in the primary forest, deep side in the forest periphery, and in the farmlands, just to determine are species affected by the same. So you can see on the far right, that is me laying camera traps in the forest to know if species are affected. But the honest truth is species are affected. You can see that antelope there is known as the forest bongo. I want you in your own time, just Google mountain bongo. Mountain bongo. It's affected, and you see what level is it in the IUCN Red List. This species is a habitat specialist. Any shift in the environment, they change. So what happens when climate change happens? Animals are dying, crops are dying. Then we have big mammals like elephants. They use bigger environments or ecosystems. They are affected, and they will go extinct if we do nothing. So the data from the animal science of the camera traps was analyzed, and you can see there is a difference. Deep inside the forest, diversity is high. In the forest periphery, diversity comes down, and in the farmland, it comes down. And you can see the sticks that you can see there. It shows that there's a difference between protection and non-protection. And you can also see that there are habitat specialists in the far right figures. There are habitat specialists that do not tolerate disturbance. Now, these are just one of the implications of the results that we found out, but based on carnivores alone. I've left out the elephants and whatnot in that forest. So all of these are species. The interesting species that I want to talk about is the very first one on your far right, far left, on top right, top left, up there, top left, yes. It's known as Jackson's mongoose. Jackson's mongoose is a habitat specialist. If we interfere with the environment, then they die and they diminish. And I said, no, we must do something about it. And then there's another species on your top right, wandering. Yes, that's because one of the species is going extinct in the forest, is known as the golden cat. So let's look what we are doing. So we established a tree nursery. I began training students on how to rehabilitate. So I always avoid replication of the results of what we are doing. So the first time, we established tree nurseries. Then the second time, we said now we want to reach everybody. We want to ensure that we train these students. Then the third thing, we now started looking at what are the alternative livelihoods. What can reduce the impact on forests? So we are doing more modern but energy efficient eco-stoves, but using resources that are locally available without seeking any support from any. We just train the people and the community on how they can do those stoves, and you can see the results of what we have reached, and this is only in the last 2 years, and the project began in 2018. The question is, I am doing something about my situation. What are you doing? The change begins with you. If you sit back and relax, no change will happen. If I do something and you do something and we come together, and that is the spirit of RCE. For the youth, that is the spirit. And I hold on, that is the spirit, and I will continue doing it. And perhaps, who knows, in the next 10 years, in the next Okayama, declaration, I also be, you never know. So thank you so much. That was my time.
Thanks a lot, Evans. It is, even though I've heard the story now already a few times, it's always inspiring, especially how you, as a youth leader yourself, try to take along the youth in your region to address the challenges that are there. So with that, we move on. Again, to our online participants, Hector, you'll share a little bit on your experiences as a youth professional yourself in addressing the circular economy. Take it away.
All right, thank you so much. And even though that I'm presenting online, I wish I could be there in person. But for today's presentation, I'm gonna be focusing on some like a general approach on how can we rethink waste in cities from the Americas. And we will talk about waste in cities. It's easy to fall into global concepts and thinking about plastic in the oceans, overflowing of landfills, among other global, local, or simply global carbon footprint. But in communities across the Americas, the reality of waste is much closer to home. The challenges are tangible, the overflowing dumpsters in low-income neighborhoods, informal waste pickers struggling for recognition, food waste piling up, while families face food insecurity, and recyclable materials that still end up in landfills because local infrastructure is not in place. In many cities across the Americas, most of the recycling is done informally by waste pickers who are often excluded from formal systems. Residents in marginalized communities face inequities in waste collection delays, illegal dumping, and fewer recycling options compared to wealthier areas. And food waste also is another critical issue. Nearly 40% of food is wasted, while in North America, Caribbean, and Latin America, marginalized communities in fact face inconsistencies assessing fresh, affordable produce. These problems are deeply social, environmental, and economic. And this is where circular economy comes in, which is not just as a concept, but as a practical approach that can transform how communities view and manage waste, like designing local systems that keep resources in use for as long as possible, reduce dependence on landfills, and generate value for the community itself. But to get there, we need more than technology. The education for sustainable development is critical. So how does this type of education help address these real issues? First, it builds awareness. If communities don't know that food scraps can become compost instead of methane in a landfill, or that reusing construction debris can reduce costs for housing projects, then opportunities are missed. Secondly, ESD builds skills. Imagine training programs for youth on how to run community compost hubs, repair cooperatives, or recycling micro enterprises. These are not just green jobs, they're livelihoods tied to resilience and dignity. And thirdly, and nonetheless, ESD empowers participation. Waste management systems often fails because they are top-down, and through ESD, we can engage schools, local associations, and even informal waste workers in co-designing the solutions of all 19 R's listed here, like recycling, reusing, rebuilding, readapt, etc. And how this might look in the Americas. Let's give some concrete examples of what might looks like here. For example, in Puerto Rico, where I was born and raised, is strongly dependent on importation, so schools could integrate hands-on composting into their curriculum, and children not only learn science, but bring the practice home to reduce food waste. But that's something the local government, with the bureaucracy and obstacles that favor the greater interests, is kind of stigmatized at the point where 80% of food produce are imported, since there's no free commercialism with other countries unless it's inspected by US, and it's kind of expensive. Besides large cities in Mexico City with over 20 million people, ESD programs could train and formally integrate informal recycles, equipping them with safety protocols, sorting techniques, and environmental education to better align with citywide waste management standards. And by formally integrating these workers into the municipal recycling system, the city can not only boost recycling efficiency, but also combat the social stigma they face, recognizing them as skilled professional in the circular economy. And nonetheless, in Detroit, where I live now, community-based workshops could teach residents on how to repurpose materials, like turning wooden pallets into furniture or garden infrastructure, strengthening the local economy while reducing illegal dumping, also using recycling products for fashion. Anyways, these small-scale local initiatives address the real gaps and waste inequities, lack of infrastructure, and missed economic opportunities, while also shifting the cultural mindset from waste as a problem to waste as a source. And to rethink waste in cities, we must connect the dots between education, social equity, and circular practices by uniting small case scenarios if you want to think about bigger goals. Still, the Americas region has a long way to go on this, and when circular economy initiatives are rooted in local realities, whether that is a food waste crisis, the role of waste pickers, or illegal dumping in neighborhoods, they become much more than environmental fixes. They become pathways to healthier and more resilient areas. While adults, in fact, hold the greatest power to shape policies and systems, it's youth who will live with the long-term consequences and opportunities for those decisions. Across the Americas, youth are stepping up as leaders, building resilient and sustainable communities for the ground up. And through capacity building efforts, we're gaining the skills needed for green jobs and inclusive innovation. And by engaging in policy dialogue and regional initiatives, we're not just demanding changes, we're helping to design it. The circular economy is not just a vision for the future, but it's a space where youth must be partners today because we are the next generation of decision makers. And that's about it for my presentation. Feel free to contact us at the RC Youth Network social channels. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Hector. It's very inspiring. I think making especially also the circular economy tangible, provide concrete opportunities for youth to engage is very important. So thanks a lot for that. So we're moving to our last presentation of this session. Alyson MacKay, Regional Youth Coordinator for Europe, will share a bit on how culture and film screenings can also increase the intergenerational communication. And then after that, we'll move to our discussion. Alyson, please.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me here today. I am joining you at the very early hour of 2:30 in the morning. I wish I could be there with you all in person, but I so far really enjoyed everyone else's topics and the other sessions, and it's been great to still connect with you all, even though not physically. So today I'm just going to be talking to you briefly about a project that we did in Scotland, where we basically hosted some film screenings and conversations around them. So the challenge kind of identified was a lack of intergenerational conversations and connections to the climate and biodiversity across rural and urban areas of Scotland. Other data collected by government bodies had shown that there was a lack of connection across generations to both their own climate and the wildlife around them, regardless of if they were in rural or urban areas. So the solution that we presented was hosting free intergenerational film screenings in different regions of the country. This consisted of a mix of rural and urban areas. So we then facilitated intergenerational group discussions about the film and the topics covered in it for everyone who attended. So the film in question was called Why Not Scotland? And essentially it is a 1-hour documentary following the the narrator, Flo, who visits a few other countries in mainland Europe that have or should have similar wildlife to Scotland, to kind of compare where they have been throughout history, what's changed for them, and why or how Scotland could copy their rewilding efforts to make our own country more wild and increase our own biodiversity. So the film follows Flo around these different countries where she's able to compare and different countries' attitudes and ways that they've done things, such as reintegrating with different wildlife forests, as well as the more controversial topics of reintegrating different apex predators. So the topics of discussion included the deforestation of the Scottish Highlands, which for those of you that don't know, the Scottish Highlands used to be almost entirely covered in immense forest land and no longer is, and is now very, very bare and has been for the last 400 years as a result of colonialism. Other topics included, as I mentioned, the apex predators in Scotland, so reintroducing of wolves, lynx and bears. And then we also talked about different wetlands, the idea of a mosaic of landscapes that intersects water bodies with dry and wetland, and the importance of that. One of the key topics that we talked about was the attitudes towards nature in Scotland and the future of wildlife and wild spaces in Scotland. And what we found from our collections of the information across rural and urban areas and across the different ages of our attendees was that everybody wanted to see more nature, more access to wild spaces, more access to rewilded and strong biodiversity-rich Scotland. So that is just a very brief kind of summary of one of the projects that we did. Earlier on, Maximilian had mentioned and highlighted the importance of intergenerational and I believe the word was vertical learning as well. And I think that this is one of the key spaces. We also mentioned the idea of just making space for youth because we need the space to be able to make the change, but we need to be able to connect across different generations as well and make sure that we're taking everybody along, because it's the legacy of the human race, not just the legacy of us as individuals. Thank you very much for listening to me today. If you have any questions, you can connect with the information on screen.
Thanks a lot, Alyson, for that also, again, very inspiring example. I think we've heard multiple ways of shaping this intergenerational collaboration that we're looking for, and what's also necessary to give youth a place in that. So we've heard from Woojin how specific programs meant to also empower youth, development programs for youth, are really effective and actually can lead to alumni of those programs shaping themselves in the future. From Janu, how to empower them, how to empower farmers and youth to also make their own livelihood, how to take along your peers as a youth leader yourself, how to concrete tangible examples for youth, give them projects that they can engage with directly from the position they're in, and also maybe sometimes to provide explicit intergenerational spaces that are designed for different generations to come together. And to also take a bit of that space we talked a little bit about, to also have a bit of a discussion on that, maybe help you digest all the things that we've heard today. We'll have a short discussion. Maybe we won't have time for full Q&A with you as well, but we can do that also during the rest of the day. But for the panel, I would like to hand over to Ali.
Thank you very much, Max. Dankeschön. Minasan, ohayou gozaimasu. So thank you very much for wonderfully moderating the session, and to all of our panels, especially for those online, spending their time. I think it's nighttime for Hector right now. So as has been introduced, my name is Ahmad Ali. I am one of the RCE regional youth coordinators for Asia Pacific, and also the youth coordinator for RCE Greater Gombak. And I'm representing two institutions under RCE Greater Gombak, actually. My university, IUM, and also Wikimedia Malaysia. So without so much on myself, actually, I want to... actually, this is my second time in the Global RCE conference, and last time I also moderated the discussion with the RCE regional youth coordinators. So it's really nice to be here. And I think reflecting back to our previous discussion 2 years ago, in my institution, actually, in Greater Gombak, we closed off the youth panel discussion with one quote from, actually from Janu's country, which is from the first president of Indonesia, which translated to be, give me 1,000 adults and I will uproot the great Mount Semeru, which is a big mountain in Indonesia. But give me 10 youths and I shall shake the world to its core. So this is, I think, a very powerful message. But what we can see here is also the aspect of intergenerational collaboration, because while the youth will just shake it to its core, but the adults, they can uproot it with care and with love and care, because they have the more experience and can do things maybe more thoroughly. So, but the importance of collaboration between intergenerations is very important. And I think, as what Her Royal Highness Princess said, the youth is not the problem. The youth are the assets. And I want to add more. The youth is the solution to the problem that we're facing. And the solution is what we saw presented just now by our four panelists just now, five, sorry. And, but I know that there are so many things that we heard just now, and perhaps it might be a bit hard to connect the dots. So for starters, to understand from the perspective of RCA Okayama, maybe we can let, I want to ask to Mizumo, how can we connect the dots between the different lessons from the different regional contexts of what we heard just now? So perhaps what do you think about this whole?
Thank you very much, Ali. And thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for wonderful presentations. I've also inspired through the presentations, and I feel like the voice from young people and the project us have so wonderful powers and energies. I feel that, and I hope the audience feels same as me. And also for the answer for these questions, I think through these presentations, I think the youth are finding and asking their own questions and creating their future through intergenerational dialogue and act in global and locally. I think this is the one key point to the lessons from each region's context. Thank you.
That's really great, great points. And what do you think? Perhaps Seoyoung, if you have any, do you have any follow-up on that?
Yes, thank you, Mizumo, for sharing your amazing perspective and knowing our own question. So throughout the experiences, knowing ourselves and sharing what we have learned to all the generations is really important. So I think while during our sharing the experiences, I think we have some kind of gaps and hardness when you're sharing our opinions, since we saw our mentee question. So while connecting, so when you're sharing our opinions and experiences, sometimes we feel lack of the communication. So I think lots of younger generations and also older generations responded the trust is the most important things. So I think believing each other and believing our perspective and beyond our experiences. And so youth have younger perspective and non-youth have more experiences. And if we combine that and making a better project and better future is really important. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, the combination of, like even within the youth themselves, there's like different levels of experience. And this is where it's always important, let's forget about the different generations, just about us being different humans, helping each other out. And even like between us, I think there's some things that you're more expert in and I'm less well versed in, and we can always help each other out. But so this is why we're always talking about this youth empowerment or youth leadership to equalize, to promote like more equity among the society. But aside from merely promoting equity, I think we can go to the next guiding question, which maybe Mizumo, if you have any points on it. When it comes to youth leadership, why is it so important that we push the youth leadership as a strategy to create change in the future?
Thank you, Ali. And I think the youth leadership is not the authority; it's the power to co-create, and the leadership brings to people together and makes change happens collectively. I think this is the one my view. Thank you.
Yeah, I think actually co-creation is a very key points in it. And that's actually something that is also highlighted in both Woojin and Evance's projects, where it's all about co-creation and innovation within everyone. So perhaps if you have do you have any follow-up points for that?
Yes, thank you, Ali. I think in leadership, perhaps what I can suggest is, based on the presentations, you could see across different divides, everybody was taking advantage of their profession or their level of understanding in every particular aspect to solve their problems. Perhaps, for example, due to climate change, livelihoods are affected, and that means that we need climate-resilient agriculture. We can take advantage of Janu. We need, to protect our species. So I think as youths, we need to form a hub, and then we become a whole community such that we can solve all our problems at one go. So I think that is the take-home point for me. Thank you.
So yeah, I think that's a good point. There's like so many different types of programs, there's projects that we have. I think we have like 3 of them are like action-based project where we reducing plastic waste and so on. And then we also have the more capacity-building ones like Bridge to the World, for example. And I remember when we first met when Woojin came to Malaysia with a team of with a batch for Bridge to the World to RCE Grade to Gombak. And we really see how the youth participants are really empowered to think. And how do you what's your secret to bringing youth leadership among the youth in Bridge to the World?
It's maybe not a secret. I think all of you already know this. Youth boys have a unique power, I think. Yeah, so it comes from their fearless honesty, I think so. So they don't hesitate like everyone in here, and that curiosity can change the world. Yeah, so I think that's the secret. We already know that. So when actually I wanna share one story. When I arrived in the Okayama, I saw the statue of the Momotaro at the station, and he started his journey with just one rice dumpling. It calls tango, right? So but with courage and kindness. And I think he inspired everyone to join him. So like many animals and many peoples and many peers and company. So to me, that's what youth leadership is, and young people setting out to change the world with their own courage and curiosity as their strengths. So that's why I believe youth leadership is it's not just valuable, it's one of the most powerful strategy to change. Yes, this is secret.
True. I really love how you related it to the folklore. You can see how like stories of the past that our ancestors have been telling us, it's not that it doesn't have any meaning. It's not just mere bedtime stories. There's actually lessons behind it that we can take a lot from, all the values that we can learn. And this is why it's very important to highlight what Professor Zul mentioned yesterday about indigenous knowledge. It's the traditional values that we've passed down from the wisdom of our ancestors. And speaking of ancestors, I mean, not our ancestors, but our predecessor, our senior, Max, you were perhaps you could wrap up just briefly, one sentence about this whole thing. Not a long sentence, please.
I'll not follow Roger. I think it all comes back to what we also started with, and I think what we all shared is trust. I think it's also a question to us to trust as youth, and I think the examples we present today really shows that if you trust us, great results and great projects can grow of that. But it's not just a trust to let us do our thing and let us fall, so to say, but trust us, but also help us, support us, give us the space to grow, give us the space to also make mistakes and keep working with us. And I think that's for me one of the main points for today. But before we let you go to a little break, before we go into the breakouts, we actually analyzed also all of the projects that we shared, to also maybe have a bit more tangible results of what connects these youth projects together, what are really the actionable points that we can make. So Kozue put that kindly together for us, and also at this case, also Kozue, thank you for all your support and the trust that you and the whole UNU-IAS team actually put into us as youth during this process. I think that the shaping of this session itself was really a prime example of how we can shape youth participation effectively. So to wrap up the session, Kozue, please.
Thank you very much. It has been such an exciting journey for me to work with all of these very energetic young leaders. But as we are running out of time today, I would like to briefly, summarize the story that youth leaders shared today. And across the region and generations, young leaders shown story that their commitment, and which is very evident, and not just in ideas, but in action, and demonstrated through impactful and community-based projects. I hoped I wanted to go through all of the detail, but I am running out of time. I can show you the QR scan code, which you can access to the document at a later time. So these stories show us what makes youth-led projects succeed. And we learn 6 important essences successfully leading in the project, which is intergenerational collaboration, intergenerational learning, and intrinsic motivation, and real-world question, and evidence-based decision-making, and interdisciplinary thinking. These qualities empower young people to lead effectively and bring a transformative change. So, as you can see the QR scan code, if you want to take a look at the document at a later time, please scan this QR code, please. So, key takeaway. So working with you sometimes require a lot of patience for you, and it may not be easy, and it doesn't go as you expected. But after all, we come from different generations. But by listening and learning from each other, we discover new energy and shared purpose. So I encourage everyone here to keep this element in your mind when engaging with young people in your community or policy-making processes on ESD. So, as we conclude, let us remember 3 lessons from today's presentation session for you to initiate the project with young people. First is, you listen deeply. Building trust and nurturing empathy is essential when you are working across generations. Also, you collaborate widely, work with youth, and by embracing their innovative thinking and digital mindset, and let go of your stereotype, because sustainability grows through shared learning and trust among many stakeholders. Lastly, you act boldly. Try to work with youth without any hesitation and with your open heart. Such collaboration can lead to impactful and inspiring projects. So together, we are not only for learning for sustainability, but we are learning through sustainability. On behalf of UNU-IAS, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you, these young leaders here today. And after this Global RC conference, we share some key messages from this youth plenary through upcoming social media campaign. So please stay tuned on the RC Facebook for the update. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much.